Hello and welcome back to the Gloves Off, Helmets On podcast. Today we've got another good one. We're back with another episode. There's a couple of things we want to discuss today, but one of the main ones is why Redbull's decline needs to be taken seriously. Because it doesn't seem to be taken seriously. I don't think anyone really thinks they are going to decline, but...
Yeah, I don't see them going in a very good way at the moment. I can't see the next couple of years being a good position for Red Bull to be in, really.
No, not in the slightest.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into it and dissect our reasons why. And see what you think. So, I mean, the obvious.
Yeah, there's
reason.
a couple of things that have recently happened which are obviously make it obvious as to why they're not going to perform as well.
So the most obvious that's out there in the public is obviously Adrian Newey.
Yeah.
Leaving them for Aston Martin. I mean, there is no other way around that other than whoever you replace isn't going to be as good.
No.
So, you know, you're losing a very, very key asset there that you can't really. It's like replacing 50 quid for a tenner. You know, it just isn't good.
He brings that certain sort of professionalism and expertise that other engineers don't necessarily have. And that's apparent with every team really that doesn't have Adrian Newey. It's like he's got something that just seems to work.
Yeah.
The magic. And I think all the engineers now at Red Bull are just going to be sort of standing around scratching each other's heads like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Especially with regulations changing, I think they're in a pretty hard position trying to match what they once were.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, he's going to a rival team as well, which, well, they're not necessarily top rival of Aston Martin, but they will be soon, most likely. So, I mean, it's another team for him to fight with, which obviously isn't good.
Yeah, he's a really good asset to any team, and I think the sort of top end of the grid, where they're all a bit more competitive, I think Adrian Newey really does push other teams forward, and that'll affect Red Bull.
Yeah, so they're not going to be able to, like, get another Adrian Newey.
Definitely not.
That's probably, well, that's one of the biggest reasons. That's one of the most obvious reasons.
When he decides to retire, it's going to be like a shambles with everyone. Everyone's going to be like, what the hell do we do now?
Well, the other teams will be glad, though.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Evens the playing field out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think, like, what's another main reason that you think, for you, is obviously...
I'd say, so there's quite a lot goes into this one. I think, other than the obvious of the second seat not being that secure at the moment, obviously with Isaac Hadjar in RB, Lawson, even Verstappen I think it's pretty clear for the past couple of years that Verstappen's just there because he enjoys F1. I don't think he wants to really be like champion, get 8 championships, compete for the best. Yeah. So I think he does it because he enjoys it. I don't think it's personal for Verstappen. I think in the next few years, I don't think he's going to be as interested in F1 anymore. He's made that pretty apparent so far. So I think when Verstappen eventually leaves, which could be sooner, it could be later, we don't know, they're going to struggle. And then, like I was saying, with the second seat, with it not being secure, it sort of takes that security away from the team of knowing that they've got a really good second driver. Yeah. Because second driver is just as important as the first. You know, you're getting points in for the constructors. And as well, I think it makes the team look bad. Because the sort of curse that's going on with the second seat now at the moment with Tsunoda and Lawson, no one's going to want to go in it. It's a good opportunity, but when you really look at it and the security and how well you want your career to be in F1, especially when rookies are coming up to RB and sort of joining the whole Red Bull family, I'd be a bit like, do I want that though?
Yeah.
And you've got to think like the knock-on effect that's going to have now for new people coming up to the grid. So I think they've sort of cursed the second seat now.
So you think no one's really going to want that second seat?
I think it's desirable because obviously if Red Bull are coming to you with a contract, you're going to be like, whoa.
Yeah, there's a race-winning car, yeah.
But when you really look at, because for some people F1's like the whole life, and I don't think some people are going to want to take the chance to have like 5 races and get...
That's the thing, because you don't seem to get a lot of time in that seat, so you could either make or break your whole career. So like you say, it's a big risk. If you don't click with it straight away, you might be the rest of your career might be in trouble. And then
there's no other places on the grid. What are you going to do? And Christian Horner has got his favourites. I mean, he's looking at someone in F3.
Yeah.
Like they're nowhere near coming up to F1 yet, and he's already looking, thinking, kind of want them.
Yeah. So speaking about all of that, I think the driver pool that they have in the Red Bull family isn't. It's not what it used to be. Obviously, it used to be, Vettel, Ricciardo, Verstappen. Used to have them, Gasly, Albon.
For years, it was all like really good drivers.
They had so many good ones, and now it seems, well, in it now is obviously Verstappen, which is like your key asset. Losing, that's the end probably.
Yeah.
But your second best driver after Verstappen's Tsunoda, who's good. And then you've got Lawson, you've obviously got Hadjar, you've got Lindblad, who's just been promoted to F2.
Yeah.
And you've got a couple others, Pepe Marti in F2 as well. But there's no one there that's like, wow, he is the next Verstappen. Which is, obviously, they've never really had a problem with, they've always had like someone there ready to promote. And it seems now, they just haven't. They haven't got like that. Obviously, I'm sure they're all talented, and they are, but there's no one like outstanding that's like itching to be in the Red Bull seat because they just deserve it so much. So it's a bit.
Yeah, and you can see the drivers that Red Bull have created over the years because the majority of them are still on the grid, and they've had really long careers in F1.
Yeah.
So it shows that like back in the day, the Red Bull seat was amazing. It did such good things for our drivers, but at the moment, I just don't see it going that way.
Yeah, so they need to invest in some new drivers or just hope that they all come good. Because who knows, Hadjar he might just be unbelievable and we were wrong, but yeah. And Lawson might be better than what we're expecting, but
Lawson might surprise us.
I don't know, I don't think he will. So yeah, that's another reason is the driver pool that they have isn't great, apart from Verstappen, obviously.
Yeah.
So, obviously when Verstappen leaves or retires or whatever, then they're in like a limbo.
Yeah.
And that second seat doesn't seem to be the second seat. The best you're going to get in that seat is Tsunoda or Lawson.
Yeah.
This is what it seems so far, which isn't really good enough in a one of the best cars. You need better drivers than that, really.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Tsunoda or Lawson, but
in a top team where it is so close, you need people
the best,
who are like, whoa,
the best
you
of the
need
best.
to have that competition.
Yeah. Another one is they lost recently. Last season they lost the sporting director, so he's obviously finished the 2024 season and he's left to be the team principal of Sauber for 25. So interesting move for him. Obviously it's a more senior role, so and he obviously wants the new Audi project. So so Jonathan Wheatley, he's left Red Bull and he's been there for a while as a sporting director, and so obviously sporting director's in a very important role. I'm pretty sure I've seen that they're replacing him with Verstappen's race engineer at the minute. I'm not sure how true that is, but that's what I've seen.
It's a big promotion as well.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's great.
But with so many changes happening for 2026 as well, because I've read that Will Courtney, the head strategist of Red Bull, is going to McLaren.
Oh, is he?
In 2026.
26?
So, yeah,
Whoa,
when I read
that.
Obviously McLaren are already levels above Red Bull.
Yeah.
So when they're getting the head strategist of Red Bull to join the team, it's gonna throw McLaren forward, isn't it? Like, let's be honest, it's gonna create some competition because they've got the head strategist as well as already having the better car.
It's gonna push McLaren further forward.
Yeah, it's gonna be really hard to compete with.
And then again, like Red Bull have had great strategies now for how long? Years, really. They're probably one of the best force strategies.
So trying to there's a lot of changes with them losing key people, because as well as adapting to the new regulations and getting new people in, like, it's gonna be hard to balance that as well as staying competitive.
You don't want to push. You don't want to force too. Like, you want to, when you have new people, you want to slowly involve them. You don't just want to throw loads of new people in at once and be like, let's just hope, because that's what it seems like they're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe because they haven't got the choice, but doing that obviously doesn't normally work as well as you'd want it to. But maybe Red Bull themselves are going to look at 2026. But then if you give Verstappen a bad car in 25, then his seat is in danger for 26 because he's not going to be a team who's rubbish because he's Max Verstappen. Anyone will have him.
And the car, though, now you've touched on it, has been an issue now for the past season as well.
Yeah, as he's been complaining more than normal.
They can't balance it, is what I've gathered from it.
But then again, it's like, he won the championship, so is he just moaning because it's not as good as what he's had, or is there actually an issue there? I don't know.
But then with the rumours that the car's built for Verstappen.
Yeah.
If other drivers are coming in and realising that the balancing issues for Verstappen, that might work for him. But other drivers that aren't used to that might be thinking, oh my God, I can't do it.
And that makes the second seat even worse than it needs to be.
And they're having trouble with testing apparently. So they're having trouble with testing. In real life, it's not matching up to what they have tested, and they can't balance that either. So they keep finding little tweaks that they need to change. But it seems like every time they do it, something else happens to the car.
So it's like a domino effect. They fix something and something else goes wrong. And that's not good when you're at the top of F1 and there's like no margin for error.
Well, the issues they found recently now in the off season is understeer and tyre wear, which they're trying to tackle, but they just can't get it.
I know.
Which is going to be an issue.
Yeah. Which obviously, as well, like you say, how there's so many new people coming in. And everyone, people getting promoted, demoted, whatever the situation is, that's going to make it even harder because it's, they've obviously would have had a tight team for years now, and now it's all just
a bit everywhere.
mumble jumble.
Yeah.
So it's going to be even harder for them to get to grips with it. So I'm really like, I think this is bad. I really think 2025 Red Bull will still do well purely on the fact that they've got Max Verstappen, and obviously they're still going to have one of the best cars. But 2026 really could be a bad year and a bad, because if you mess up 2026, you're then chasing until the next regulations in 2030.
Yeah, it just has that domino effect where it's like, oh, well, we'll sort it out for this year, and then if it doesn't happen again, when are you going to?
So, 25 they're going to struggle, but probably not as much as they will in 26. But yeah, this could be bad for them.
I think as well when you're looking like out of the sort of F1, and I think another big issue with Red Bull is like the sort of sports politics that they got around the team and publicity at the moment, because Christian Horner keeps doing bad things. Like for the past year he's been through court and stuff with someone at work.
Really?
Yeah, with a female colleague.
Oh yeah, well.
Yeah. Which the charges got dropped, but again it creates that like stigma around the team that young drivers are going to look at, think, second seat's a bit dodgy.
I don't think
and then Christian Horner, do I want him to sort of be attached to my name and my career?
Because you don't know if any. To be.
Yeah, because it's clear that like team principal isn't doing good things at the moment, and for some people they might not want that.
If the car's fast, I'm sure some people probably won't really care too much about that, but
Well, yeah, but obviously it just makes the team look bad, and when you're a top team like that, you don't want that sort of negative stigma and the public image to have that overriding it. It looks bad.
Yeah. So obviously we've said about all the people that are moving teams, promoted, demoted, that's all changing. Obviously, Adrian Newey leaving, all of that. I then think Red Bull are going to be... I don't think they're going to win the championship with any drivers or constructors in 25, which I then think they are going to be well aware that 2026 is probably going to be a really bad change for them, which I think in 2026 or 2027, depending on how long he leaves it, I think Max Verstappen's going to leave, because this is the thing is when you have this, it's great to have such good champions on your team, but with that being said, when you have such a good fast driver champion, if they don't like what the team's giving him anymore, he has no problem going to, because chances are if he went to any team and said, can you take me, I will take the same amount of money as your first driver, chances are they're going to go, you know what, yeah, fine.
They'll be like, yeah, of course you are.
They'll take him. So he can walk into any team on the grid, right? That's just a fact. So with Red Bull absolutely falling off a cliff in 2026, which is probably
inevitable.
It's inevitable. So Verstappen might leave at 2026 because they might give him false promises, and then he'll leave in 2027, or he'll know going into 2026 this is going to be bad. He might leave in 2026. Either way, you're losing Max Verstappen, and like we've said, the driver pool below Max Verstappen isn't great at the minute. Yeah. So who do they replace? The best bet at the minute would be Tsunoda and Lawson. Won it at Red Bull, which isn't great for Red Bull. So I think Verstappen, where he leaves, I have no idea, and we will...
I think it's going to happen. Like, we all know the ego Verstappen's got and the type of person he is. He's not going to put up with it.
Nah.
And so he shouldn't.
Yeah, he doesn't need to, because he's proved himself as one of the best ever. So
yeah, and he sort of told Red Bull from the get-go, he doesn't go. He's here because he likes it, and like when it no longer suits him, he's just gonna be like,
he's not gonna want to struggle, and you know he's been with Red Bull for like a really long time now. You know, this is his 9th or 10th season with Red Bull. So if they're, you know, he's done like the building phase with them to get to the championship. He doesn't need to do it again. He's gonna leave. He'll go anywhere, and I personally think it's probably going to be Aston Martin where he got, because obviously you've got Alonso retiring 26, so then to replace Alonso would be Verstappen. Perfect move.
Yeah.
So I do think 2027 I would say is when Verstappen's going to leave, and that leaves Red Bull in absolute bits.
That's what I think. That's what Aston Martin are going to look for though, as well, is that really competitive driver. Because I think when they've got Adrian Newey and when they've got Stroll, they're gonna want a first driver to be like so good, and obviously Alonso's incredibly skilled and like talented at the moment, which is he is literally holding Aston Martin on his back. So they're going to be looking for the top drivers, thinking we want one of these. Yeah. Which in turn works for Verstappen, because he's going to be able to win for them. Yeah.
So I mean that's all we have for there's a lot there to unpack, but Red Bull aren't looking good. The moral of the story is Red Bull should be worried, and their inevitable decline needs to be taken seriously.
I think they're worried as well though, because I've seen a lot of it in the press and across social media recently, like them being asked questions as to why things are going wrong, and they're just like, they don't know what to say, and it just looks like they're just as stressed. So it'll be interesting to see it pan out over the next couple of seasons and see what actually happens with Red Bull, because from going from such a high to being like, what do you do now?
Wouldn't it be weird to see Red Bull all fighting, you know, against Alpine and Haas and stuff? It'd be so strange.
I can't picture it, because it's just not something.
But I think that's what's coming.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, like we say, we personally both think it's inevitable, and this is just the reality, and they're going to have to suck it up and deal with it. So I mean, it needs to be taken seriously. We need to really watch this decline of Red Bull, and it's bittersweet. It's good because obviously, you know, the other teams are going to be buzzing, and it's, you know, great for the sport in a way.
Yeah,
it's
at the end of the day, it's sport. Like, when you think about other teams, like McLaren have been absolutely through the dirt for a few years, and now look at them.
It happens to everyone.
So they'll come back up to the top, but it just makes space for different teams, which is obviously the good aspect of it.
And obviously Verstappen, like that beef is going to be so interesting, especially if he stays for 26. Yeah. Wow, that's going to be good.
So we'll just have to see what happens with Red Bull.
For sure. Now, on a similar note, we're going to go to the other end of the spectrum and say why we think Williams are seriously onto something, and they're going to come from the bottom to the top.
Fingers crossed.
So they're going to basically do the opposite of what Red Bull are doing, coming from top to bottom. These Williams are going to go bottom to top. Yeah,
they're going to cook, is what I hope.
To start us off, now, obviously they recently signed James Vowles for 2023 and onwards, and they've always seemed, Williams, for a while now, in a really, like, you know, no one's really knew the direction, no one knew the plan. It felt like they were just winging it, they were just in the sport to be in the sport, just to, you know, just to fill up the numbers. Whereas when they got James Vowles in, he very clearly said, I don't care about 2023, I don't care about 2024, and I don't really care about 2025. All of our eyes, me and everyone on the team, drivers, engineers, even the chefs, you know what I mean? They're all looking at 2026, new regulations, obviously supposedly the biggest regulation change in the history of the sport. Yeah. Is what, I mean, don't know how true that is, but that's what they say. Yeah. They've all stated that is the plan, 2026. So, obviously that, I mean, for a team like Williams, it doesn't really, like, finishing 7th in the constructors and finishing 9th in the constructors, I don't think it makes too much of a difference for them, because like, you know, Williams should be at the top, it should be top 3 really. Like, I don't think they care about, you know, the sponsors probably don't really care about 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. If you're down there, you're down there, whatever. Obviously they've had really bad facilities compared to everyone else. They've had, like, apparently they've been using for the last few years, like 20-year-old, you know, things that are 20 years in the past that they were using in the early 2000s. And now, obviously, they're slowly but surely getting on top of that, making them all new, which obviously I'm guessing for 2026 because they want everything to be ready.
Yeah. It's like they've got it all like ready and they're prepared.
Yeah. They're just waiting for 26.
And I feel like they're really gonna like drop bomb us and just do amazing.
But I think because everyone on the team is like, agreeing with him, and no one's like, oh, maybe we can do something for 2025 or whatever. It's just since he joined, they've all been committed to like this project in 3 years.
That's one thing I'll say that Williams have above like a lot of the rest of the teams around the grid. They've got a really good team dynamic, and I see that everywhere, is that they're all so equally like driven to embrace changes that have happened with James Vowles coming in and the regulations, and they all just want the same thing, is to see Williams doing good again.
Yeah.
And that, honestly, when you've got a full work team that have the same mindset, they want to win, they're all working together in a really like positive work environment, they're going to do well from that alone.
Yeah.
Because it's what you want from a team. Like, at the end of the day, it's a team sport.
Yeah.
And you need everyone to have that same mindset.
Yeah, you need everyone on the same page.
And Williams do that above and beyond.
Yeah, they do. And now, secondly, I mean, state the obvious, who they just recently signed, who's going to massively help them.
Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, that is a huge reason, obviously, of course.
Yeah, he's peak of his career. He's so skillful, and I think with Albon, I think they're going to do really well together.
And they both enter in the primes, 20. I think both 29 or maybe both 30, something like that. Either way, that's at least 5 more years at the top level for both of them, and obviously they've had all their. They should have had all of their crashes in the young years, learning, and now they're like, we're here both together, and they seem to be like really understanding of each other and like really like happy to be teammates, and they seem to, there's no like beef in the team. It seems like they're both just looking at working together to push the team
Williams
forward.
They just, everyone likes each other. It's just a happy place to be.
And I think obviously with Sainz, not just his skill, obviously he's one of the best on the grid, but he's also had the experience of fighting at the back of the field when he started, middle of the field when he was at McLaren, even his first year at Ferrari when he was at Renault, and obviously when he was at Ferrari for the most part fighting at the front of the field. Yeah. So that experience being all over the grid also helps. Like, you'd be surprised, in the.
It gives him that edge because he knows what he's doing with everything that he's given.
And pressure. He'll be absolutely fine because he's won races, and obviously that's a lot of pressure. Yeah. When you're leading a race. So Sainz. I mean, we've said it and we'll say it again. The perfect fit for Williams. It is unbelievable. Like, Williams have really struck gold. Yeah. Very impressive how they've got him.
And so another point you touched on it earlier, I think they've got a really big development focus, which is bad for the past couple of years. Yeah. And with the improved facilities, so they've got a new wind tunnel and simulator now. And with them having sort of longer to test and see what works for them, with them placing low in the championship, it gives them more time to, like really focus on what's wrong with the car, what's right with it, put it through really good testing. Yeah. So I think they're going to have a good car and really come back from it now for 2026, like you were saying as well. To really put all that together and, have the car at the best it can be, see what works for them and just develop off that as well.
Yeah, and obviously the lower down you finish on the grid, the longer you get with wind tunnel testing time. Yeah. And in any form of simulator, everything, you get way more time of testing. Obviously they finished 9th, so that's it's only Sauber that have more time testing than they do. So
so they can really like tweak and pin everything on that car.
Everything. Yeah. So it's really looking promising for Williams for them reasons. Obviously, like the main reason for me, I think, is obviously Sainz coming in. Yeah. Because he's got so much experience. He knows how to make a car good, which is going to help. Because they've not really had for a while really like a race winning driver or a really experienced driver until now. Obviously, because normally they just promote the drivers who do well in F2, and obviously they never really hit the ground running. With obviously Latifi and Sargent and even Colapinto, you could argue. Yeah, so. And I think with Sainz now and everything that they're doing sort of off the grid with
the team itself, I think combined it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Like they've got a driver now to push all of the improvements that they've made basically.
Yeah.
Because he's going to put them to good use, and he'll be getting so many points in for the team hopefully.
Yeah.
And they're on track hopefully sometime soon in the next couple of years to get a championship.
2026, 2027, 2028 is you know and beyond are going to be good years for
Working their way
Williams.
up.
Yeah, I think I don't think they'll be going for the championship right away, but I
No.
don't see why
Next few
2026
years.
they can't be in the mix for a couple of wins, podiums, etc. As well with Sainz, surely they've. I mean, I don't know, but surely he's brought in like more sponsors and more money for them, and more popularity. Definitely more popularity.
Even like the whole social media is a big thing these days with money.
Yeah.
And think how much publicity Carlos Sainz has brought in for them. Like he was a Ferrari driver and now he's driving for Williams. Like the contract signing itself of him changing over to Williams, that would have brought so much publicity. And then think everything that he's going to do, all these wins, all these points, like it's going to bring more people in. Like they're going to get different sort of revenue and money from different places, which small teams need.
Yeah, and as we know, Williams have been struggling financially for like 4 or 5 years. So for Sainz to come in, and I'm pretty sure he's got Santander, the Spanish bank, to instantly come and sponsor them as soon as he joined, which is obviously. Surely there's money there, it's a bank.
Yeah, of course. I mean, to pay Carlos Sainz's wages.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Obviously, his wages are really more. But I think, obviously, they would have gained way more followers. Everyone's going to want Williams to do well because everyone likes Albon, everyone likes Sainz. So, it's, in that aspect, it's great for him to be more popular, which can obviously have more money and then more
It's
money.
definitely what they've needed.
Yeah.
After the amount of accidents and repairing that car, God, I wouldn't have wanted to look into that one.
There should be less of that as well.
That's hope.
With Sainz coming in, hopefully, imagine just
if there's a crash, my heart's gonna break because like I bet they just think, why?
I know.
Expensive.
So obviously they spent like what £5-6 million last year.
You're ridiculous.
Just on crashes. You can't afford to
and
do
they're just
that.
one after the other. It's awful.
They even had 3 in one weekend, didn't they?
Yeah.
Or 3 in one day. Sorry. Yeah, it was actually, because the qualifying was on Sunday morning, so they had 3 crashes in one day.
Disgraceful.
Yeah. So with Sainz coming in, that'll help with that as well. So there are reasons for why I think Williams are on the up. So we're gonna everyone wants Williams to do well. So we'll be watching closely on that one because it's going to be great. They're going to overtake Redbull in 2026.
Imagine, Christian Horner would actually be...
They're going to,
You have steam coming out of his ears, he'd be fuming.
Yeah, they're going to finish ahead of Redbull for 26, I reckon. So thank you for listening. I enjoyed that. As always, I enjoy them all. But I mean, we'll have to keep a close eye on Red Bull and Williams in the future to see if we was right, which I think we are.
It'll be interesting to see, and I'm really excited to see the journey that Williams go on to sort of improve and make the way back up to the top, and Red Bull's decline, unfortunately. But sport, it's got to stay competitive somehow.
100%. And people come up, people go down. So happens to everyone. It's natural. You can't be at the top forever. You can't be at the bottom forever.
No.
If you think there's anything we've missed out, please let us know. We would love to read anything. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And we'll be back again soon. Bye.
Bye.